All right, what's up, y'all? Today we've got Jeremy out of the Alabama area, and we're going to talk about how to keep up with the market as it's shifting and changing without going out of business. Here we go. It's the Tiny and Nate Show. I'm Tiny.
And I'm Nate, here to help you create time and money freedom through real estate investing,
so that you can live a life full of impact and joy. Sweet, man. Thanks for being with us today. I'm stoked to talk to you and hear from you how your business, since I saw you, 6-7 months ago, back in December, has changed and what you're doing right now to keep up the market. How you doing, man?
Yeah, man. I'm great. Thank you very much for having me on. It's good to see you again. And
yeah,
it's been 6 months. It's crazy. I was just saying to my wife this morning, like, can you believe it's already 4th of July weekend? Is this weekend?
It's crazy. I'm like, wait, what's in July? Wait, it's almost, oh crap. It's like crazy how half a year has gone by, and the amount of change that, as I've talked to other guys in the mastermind that have gone through stuff, and just even other business owners in real estate, how much we're having to change and how nimble we're having to be. So I'm looking forward to hearing how you guys, in a completely different market, y'all are down south, right? So you were saying Alabama, Florida, and what other markets are you in? Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Georgia, yeah. Only couple huge markets. What you're seeing work? What are you seeing? Because you were starting to go in one massive direction, and then you guys have had to do a lot of pivoting. So to uncover all that, I want to kind of go back and start with some basic questions and be like, hey, how did you get into real estate? And then where are you now, and kind of what's gotten you from where you were to kind of where you are, and then hit us with some nuggets. I'm hoping that other real estate investors and wholesalers and cash buyers can hopefully take away from this and go, okay, I can implement that in my business. So just break down for me, man. How'd you get in this whole fun show?
Yeah. So, like a lot of us, I got introduced into real estate investing probably I guess it was in my early 20s.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I didn't take action. Right. So had I taken action 25 years ago, I would be in a very different place right now than I am. But we can't change the past. So all we can do is just, take action today. And so, fast forward to probably about 7 years ago. And I was in medical device sales. And I was trying to change careers and get out of medical devices, because that industry it's interesting. It's very cutthroat. It's very copycat. And, once your patent expires, everyone just kind of takes everything from underneath you. And that's fine. It is what it is. Same with a lot of other industries. But I just felt like I wanted to go do something else. And that's when I started, as cliche as it sounds, when I found Bigger Pockets.
Yeah.
And I started listening to podcasts, started reading books. And, I had analysis paralysis. I went probably 2 years of education, just every book you could possibly imagine, every podcast I could find. I was working full time in medical sales and probably doing 4+ hours a day of real estate investing education.
Wow.
Because medical sales, you drive a lot.
Yeah, sure.
So you can be listening to an audiobook, you can be listening to a podcast, and I'm just, double dipping and just getting educated while I'm still working.
Yeah, getting paid to learn. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I finally, the writing was on the wall that, I was a medical device distributor. So I didn't work for a big company. I worked for myself. And, every month the commission check that came in was just getting smaller and smaller. And the writing was on the wall. It was like, okay, we're going to make the change. We're going to do it now. And we decided to make an entire life change.
Wow.
We moved from the Philadelphia, New York market.
Okay.
And moved down to nice, quiet, slow Birmingham, Alabama. And it's a major culture shock.
Yeah.
But what it did do for us is this is actually a good segue to what's going on right now, because what we were thinking back then 5 years ago was, how do we cut our expenses as low as we can? So we can kind of just take chances, follow opportunities that come our way, and not have to worry about like, hey, I've got to make $15,000 or $20,000 a month just to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Right. Get it down to $3,000, $5,000 a month, whatever it is for you.
Yeah.
That way, if you take a chance, follow an opportunity, it doesn't work out, not the end of the world.
Right.
Right. You can still get by because you can pay your monthly expenses. Maybe you can't take a vacation,
Right.
but you can still pay your bills.
Yep.
So yeah, we came down here. I started wholesaling 5 years ago in Birmingham.
Okay.
And it was an up and down ride, just like it is for a lot of new wholesalers. You make some mistakes. You maybe get into some deals you shouldn't have gotten into. You have some success. You find a couple of deals that work, and then you hire a VA. You spend some money. The next deal doesn't close, and then you're out of money again. So you got to keep starting and starting. Trying to get past that 3 to 6 month window that it really takes in this industry to be successful.
Yeah.
If when I talk to a lot of new investors, a lot of new wholesalers that come in, whether they're in our mentorship or they're just outside the mentorship, and I come across them through maybe Facebook or another group, and that's the advice I give to everyone. Like, you need to have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. And by expenses, I mean at least $1,500 to $3,000 a month.
Oh yeah.
If you don't have that, don't try and do it on your own. You might get lucky and find a deal.
Yeah.
And I hope you do, but there's a very high likelihood that you're just going to spin your wheels and maybe find a couple small deals here and there.
Yeah.
But at the end of 3 to 6 months, your bank accounts, maybe you did 1 or 2 deals, but your bank account's still going to be zero.
Yep. And I think that's even like a quarter to half what most real estate agents go through before they get their first commission. And it's usually not what a wholesaler's getting. It's almost 12 months. It's 8 to 12 months before I think that's what the stats are. When I went through it, I think that's what it was. But it's like, dude, you got to have a little war chest set aside. So things that you're saying that I just want to point out is education, like massive education. That's a big thing we're a part of for ourselves that make us actually valuable. And for the people we work with, it's like, because we want them to know we know what we're talking about. It's like, here's the education. Make sure we're saying what is true. And so you worked while you had a W-2, or you were working for yourself. So you were educating yourself while you're getting paid to do something else before you just jumped into it. And then when you jumped into it, it wasn't just smooth sailing. Like so many guys I've talked to and gals, it's like, no, there's some bumps, because it's entrepreneurship, right? It's not just, oh, here's the paint by numbers kind of thing. It's, you got to figure it out, and every story is different.
Yeah.
So,
and, I personally like to shed light on that as often as I can, especially the new folks that are coming into wholesaling or creative finance. Because a lot of the, podcasts out there and the gurus out there, they don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Because obviously they want to sell a program and they want you to think, hey, you sign up, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
I struggled for years.
Yeah.
It's not fun to go through. And that's why there's such a high dropout rate in our industry.
Yep. Absolutely.
People try it for 6 months, a year, maybe even 2 years. And then they're like, all right, this is impossible. I'm not getting anywhere.
Yep.
And then, obviously, Dave, my partner, we say it all the time, like, we just refuse to quit.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't fail if you never give up.
That's right. I say that all the time. That all the time. And I don't know how you can't sell that. You can't package tenacity in a program. Like, I think a person has to have grit. That's what I told my wife. I'm like, we're always going to be okay because no one can take our grit away.
Right.
Like, even if we lose everything, we'll be fine because we've got grit. And I think that's like the number one ingredient for a successful entrepreneur is, you're right. You can't lose if you don't ever quit.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of that in this business.
You're going to you might go in debt. You might not sleep very much.
Right.
You may have a lot of stress.
Yeah.
But if you just keep on getting up and keep on trying to find new ways to be successful and partnering with more people, and there's an unlimited way to make unlimited amount of ways to make money in our industry.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I kind of niched down and got super focused on what we wanted to do that we started really becoming successful.
Let's talk about that. So, what are the transformations that your business has gone through and your partnership has gone through? Lessons you've learned, in the last 6 months, especially lately, I would say in the last 60 days, as the market is shifting, that's gotten you to survive and thrive in current conditions. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to back up even further.
Sure.
I had a partnership before Dave and I got together.
That's right. Yeah.
And that partnership, it was mildly successful for a little while, but it was a recipe for disaster. And the reason it was a recipe for disaster was we didn't have defined roles in the company.
Right.
There was no integrator visionary roles. There were no defined separation in the company.
Yep.
A lead would come in and it was like, hey, did you handle it? Did you handle it? I don't know. And the ball got dropped a lot, right?
Yep.
We'd still do deals and think money would still come in, but eventually that's not a scalable model. You can't run a successful business that way. And then we separated, and I went a few months on my own. And then out of chance, just by being in our mentorship that we're in, I met Dave, and we weren't successful from day one. We both knew that we wanted to give this thing, 100% of our effort. We were both full-time real estate investors, and we struggled for probably 6 months, maybe even more than 6 months. We struggled. And it wasn't until we found our exact niche that we truly started to become successful.
Now, did you guys
all of the strategies?
Did you recognize that you didn't have defined roles in your first partnership before you started with Dave, or did you not recognize that?
I 100% knew that.
Okay. So when you started with Dave, you knew you were going to be one and he was going to be another. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So even when you figured that out, you found a new partner that was a great fit for you. You didn't just magically have success.
No, we didn't, because, having the defined roles in the business helps you from a business perspective, but you don't have a business if you don't have leads.
Yeah. Sales.
So that's still a whole different problem,
right.
know? Just having the defined roles in the business helps you scale once you've, found the way to get leads in the door.
Yep.
So we just struggled with getting consistent lead flow, getting quality lead flow in the door for months.
Yeah. Yep.
Going after the wrong lists and the wrong markets and all of that.
Yeah.
So, I sort of lucked into a relationship. I guess luck's probably the wrong word. When you network, you get lucky and you find things, right? It's part of why you work hard and why you do network. I came across a guy who was an intermediary to hedge funds, and he introduced me to the world of hedge funds. And that's how I started doing a handful of deals with funds, how I started realizing how many different funds are out there. But I wasn't direct to them. I had to go through someone else. And it was good, and we would have kept doing it for a while. We had been doing it probably for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months before we came to Mastermind. And I had to have a really hard, heart-to-heart talk with, two of the people that are running Mastermind. And I asked them some very difficult questions about the situation I was in. And they asked their advice for ethical questions of what I should do because of certain situations I was in. Separation of the person that was bringing that opportunity to me and how to handle that. And they said that they actually gave me advice of stay with that person and just try and work it out. And then when I came home, the writing was on the wall. It became clearer and clearer every time another deal came up that it was just not a good relationship. And we cut ties 100%. I went and made my own new relationships with the hedge funds. Didn't use the ones that he had. Went and found my own brand new ones. And I was even fully transparent with the hedge funds. I explained to them. I said, listen, this is what I was doing before. Are you okay with me working directly with you, even though I was working with somebody else at your fund through another person? And he was like, listen, we're completely fine with it if you're okay with it. And then it was just like, okay, let's test one, see how it goes.
Nice.
And it was like, holy cow, this is so much easier.
So let's not, I don't want to skip over the chance to talk to somebody who has experience working with hedge funds, because I have zero experience. And I don't think that's not something you can just take a course at a junior college, like how to work with hedge funds. So could you dive in real quick, just like a short synopsis of, what are hedge funds? Because obviously that's kind of foundational. And then what are they looking for? How do you serve them? How do you bring them value? How do you find them? I just want to take a quick detour into that, because it's something that fascinates me about you guys and the clients you have. because it really in a large part dictates the model that you have and kind of how you go about finding deals for them. So can you break that down for us real quick?
Yeah. So a hedge fund is basically a pool of money that a team is managing, and they have, hedge funds work in every industry. It doesn't have to be real estate related. They could be trading securities. They can be doing whatever. There happens to be a handful of hedge funds that buy and hold real estate. I personally know of about 10 to 15 that I've worked with. And there's way more than that out there. There's probably hundreds of hedge funds, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. Some of them are buying a small handful of houses per month, and some of the big ones are buying over 1,000 houses a month nationally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So all that being said, we have pivoted our business away from that being our focus. The reason we've done that is because with the current economic state, we've seen a lot of hedge funds either shut the doors or tighten their buy box considerably. Okay. So previous to the change in the market, your typical buy box for a hedge fund was a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, larger than 1,000 square foot. That was like your typical buy box. Most hedge funds, it fell somewhere right around there. Maybe they dropped down to 900 square feet. Maybe they said they wanted a 1,200 square foot minimum, but it was in that ballpark. Your typical, starter home, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. And then they just started squeezing the buy box and squeezing the buy box and squeezing the buy box. Now it's like, hey, we only want 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square foot or bigger, built from 1990 to now. In these specific zip codes. And they can't have an AR. They can only have an ARV between 125,000 and 250,000.
Wow.
It's like, well, that's very specific.
It is.
So it becomes harder. It becomes harder and harder to find that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, we had 6 VAs that we were using in our business. We were texting. That has always been our primary direct to seller marketing strategy, has been texting. SMS. We were sending about 10,000 SMSs per day.
Wow.
Through our 6 VAs.
Wow.
And it's a lot. You have to pull a lot of data. You have to pull big lists.
Expensive.
It's expensive. I don't recommend it for anyone who's, just starting out.
No kidding.
It costs a lot of money to keep the lights on.
Sure.
But that being said, as we started seeing the writing on the wall that they were starting to dry up a little bit, we started scaling back down, and we went from 6 virtual assistants down to 3 virtual assistants. And then that was more manageable. We cut our expenses basically in half by letting go some VAs and lowering the amount of data we're buying. And that was kind of our starting of completely 100% changing the company.
Okay. So what are you guys doing today?
So today we are focused primarily on acquiring properties. We are using private capital to acquire properties. We're going after auction properties. We're acquiring. We love stopping foreclosures. Like anytime you stop a foreclosure, it's the best of all worlds.
For sure.
I've said it a million times to other people. Yes, getting a check when you're doing wholesale, it's nice. It pays the bills, but it's like, all right, on to the next one, whatever. We bought a house, we sold a house. Okay. When you stop a foreclosure though, like you change someone's life.
For sure.
And like I had just a few weeks ago, I had a 47-year-old man cry to me because I stopped his foreclosure. The only thing he cared about was having his wife be able to go and hang out with her friends, and her friends never knew she almost lost her house. That was all he cared about.
Wow.
And I told him, I said, we're good. Don't worry. I'm going to stop this for you. We're going to be fine. We'll work on the details later, but just know, like, we're fine. And he was like, he lost it. He started crying to me. He's like, I can't believe you're able to do this. And that's an amazing feeling.
Yes.
right? Like you're truly providing value when you
Yep.
can do that.
Absolutely.
And we go into every one of those situations. The mindset is not like, I want to go in there and make a lot of money.
Sure.
It's, I'm going to go in that situation. I'm going to see if I can solve their problem.
Yep.
And as long as I don't lose money,
Yeah.
we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And more often than not, you'll still make money.
Absolutely. And what I found is like there's some force at work where when you're doing good work for people, and I don't believe in karma, but a lot of people do, but when you're going and doing good work and you're helping people and you don't exactly know what you're going to get from it at the end of the day, but you know you're doing it for the right reasons, like opportunity shows up. It just does.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm helping stop a foreclosure right now in my area up here in Idaho, and I've been working on that house like crazy. And I think 3 neighbors want me to help them sell their house, like, or to buy their house from them. And it's just like, okay, great. And my clients like going off on how amazing I am and what a good job I'm doing. And he's the only way to go, and it's like, thank you.
Yeah. And obviously it's not why we do it.
Yeah.
But it's a nice byproduct of doing that.
It's incredible. It's just, it's one of the things you can't predict when you start, or you wouldn't necessarily know unless someone was telling you. Kind of like, when you transitioned from learning and education and paralysis analysis, or vice versa, there's no substitute for just massive action. And some people get stuck because they don't know what step number 3 is or 7 is, and so they can't take step number 1.
I know.
And it's like, well, you're just going to have to deal with that, because there are no like for sure's in the world. And if you're going to be self-employed, like, you got to start taking steps before you know where the ground is.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know a title company.
Yeah.
You don't have a deal. You don't need one.
Right.
Just go take action.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. And learn a lot from everybody on the way. And I think that's one of the sweetnesses of doing this, is the kind of rescue position you get to come to be. Like, I keep using the phrase a real estate trauma nurse. I think that's accurately describes a lot of what we do.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I kind of made it up, and I think it very accurately describes what we do. And we come into a situation a lot of times where there's some trauma of some sort, and we can help solve the problem, and it has a profound impact on people. And that's one of the messages I think I want to champion as well. Is just like, real estate can be a massive tool for change, a change agent in communities, lives. And it's just, man, it makes you feel amazing. Like, I think it
really does.
I've done a lot of things over my career, and I know you have too. This is probably the one that I'm most fulfilled in, because exactly what you're saying, of the amount of like impact you can have on a human's life is huge.
Yeah. And it's not every deal.
No,
but
it's
when
not.
Those deals come along, it makes it all make sense. Yeah. Puts life into perspective.
Absolutely. So you guys went from transitioning to, mainly serving hedge funds, which you had to navigate relationships, and you were kind of stuck. It seems like you were stuck behind a gatekeeper that was keeping their relationships closed. I don't know if we covered this, but how did you find those hedge funds? I know you're not using them now, but how did you find them? Did you just look them up? Did you just call people? What did you do?
Yeah. So I don't know why most people don't think of this, but I use LinkedIn.
Nice.
Yep. Use LinkedIn, and you go in and you just start typing in keywords. Type in, if you know of funds, type their name in. If you don't know any funds, type in acquisition.
Okay.
And you'll start finding acquisition managers, and you have to do the work.
Sure.
It's not like, hey, you're going to type one time into LinkedIn, you're going to do a search, and you're going to find 100 fund managers.
Hedge fund manager.
You just need to do the work. And I can't tell you how many messages I've sent out through LinkedIn to people that I never heard back from.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
But you just do the work, and you just build those relationships. And the more they see you, you let them know, hey, I'm doing business with these other people in the markets I know you buy in. Would you like to see my deals?
Yep. Absolutely.
And if they don't, some hedge funds you're never going to get. They only go through intermediaries. They might use brokers or whoever they use.
Sure.
And you have no access to them. Like there's a few I know of, like one of them's out of Israel.
Oh, wow.
And I can't get them at all. I can't get a contact to them whatsoever. I've even spoken to hedge funds that have flat out told me, like, hey, thanks for reaching out, but we only go through brokers. If you can't provide us volume, we have to go through a broker. And I don't know what volume means.
Yeah.
You know, in my eyes, I could have shown them volume. But maybe volume to them is like, if you can't send me 100 deals a month.
Sure.
You know,
sure. It's not worth our time.
I don't want to send them 100 deals a month.
Think about that though. Just to be in that place of business is so crazy. Of like, well, we're buying on average, 500 to 700 houses a month. So if you can't really send us more than 100, it's really not worth the paperwork. Like to be in that position.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So there's room for growth, is what you're saying. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So we started because of, like, to go back to how much volume we were doing as far as like 10,000 text messages per day.
Yeah.
One of the amazing benefits of sending out that many texts, that much marketing, is we saw trends really fast. We saw, we were getting 15 to 20 leads per day.
Wow.
So like we saw a lot. We talked to a lot of sellers or homeowners. A lot of them weren't sellers, right?
Yep.
So we started seeing trends. And what I was noticing is like the mindset of the sellers went from, hey, I know I can sell my house for whatever.
Yeah.
Because my neighbor sold for 400, which means I'm up next. I can sell it for 425 and I guarantee I'm going to get a bidding war. Yeah. And that went on for a while.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden we started seeing it a little bit different. It was like, well, hey, I can't sell because I can't find something to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started getting a little bit scared. It was like, okay, well, I can't sell because I can't buy a house without doubling my mortgage payment because I'm buying a more expensive house and now rates are higher.
Yep.
And it was like the sellers went from I'm in control to I'm scared.
Yes. Big time.
And that's when we realized, okay, we need to be marketing to pain.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't. We were buying pretty houses from people with no pain because we could pay, we could pay fair market value and still make money with hedge funds.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And once everything shifted, it became clear that we couldn't do that anymore.
No. Yeah.
So we shifted, which, anytime in this market, if you try and shift your business, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary. We went from having, at one point, we had 13 deals on our whiteboard and it went to 0. Our whiteboard was literally erased clean.
Crickets. Yeah.
Yes, which is a scary thing. And it was like, okay, no, we still want our VAs doing their things. We still want our acquisitions manager to be doing follow-up. Everyone has to understand that, like, we're shifting and it's like we're starting over. We need 3 to 6 months to gain traction. And now today we're starting to see like the whiteboard is filling up.
Nice.
We're continue to do the things.
Yep.
And do the right things. And then, the world will provide.
So you said, you were buying pretty houses and paying fair market value, and now you need to look for pain. So what are some of the tactical, tangible things that you guys are looking for? And now you're buying up a lot of real estate. Are you doing buy and hold? Is that kind of the strategy, or buying fix and flip, buying and wholesaling? What are you after now, and how are you doing it?
Yeah. So the first question I can't answer thoroughly. It's not my side of the business.
Fair enough.
I know that we are trying to pull pain data.
Sure.
I don't worry about what's happening on that side.
Yeah.
That's just the way we defined our roles. So
you take them when they're in the door.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Just like Dave doesn't ask me what's going on with leads. Like we have our defined roles.
Yep. Good job.
The question of what are we doing now though? We're trying to find highest and best use of each deal.
Nice.
Right. So it may be a quick wholesale deal. It's possible still to do quick wholesale deals.
Yep.
We are looking at every deal first as a buyer.
Okay.
That we're underwriting it as a buyer.
Yep.
And if it works as a buy and hold, then we will look at it that way. We don't want to tie up our capital with the economy changing. Right. So we're making decisions based on the current economy and what's best for the health of our company.
Okay.
Like we closed a deal on Friday that was a crazy hybrid deal. It was all over the place. Stopped a foreclosure, was a crazy hybrid deal. And we had about $100,000 spread on it.
Okay.
And we originally said we're gonna hold this thing. It's in an area it's in Huntsville, Alabama, which is it has NASA, the head of the FBI headquarters moved there.
Wow.
NASA moved their command center there. Toyota Mazda just built a plant there.
Wow.
They have military there. It's a lot of high level jobs are there, and it's just growing and growing. So we know that area, even if we have a market turn, that area is not really going to turn. There's too much demand. So we were like, we're going to buy that and we're going to hold it forever. And then the market started shifting on us, which is still very new. The market's really started shifting in the past couple of weeks, right?
Yep. Okay.
So now what we're going to do is we're just going to put, like a lipstick flip, really quick flip on it. I'm going to go in, there's some holes in the walls. I'm going to go patch some holes in the walls and clean it up a little bit. And then we're just going to sell it. And we're going to sell it at a discount. It's worth about $445 and we'll probably list it about $400.
Nice.
And we'll still do well on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
So
that's something that I've noticed in our business as well, is like looking at each deal individually and not just going, well, we're just only going to do wholesales or we're just going to do fix and flips. It's like if you take that approach, at least the stage of business we're in, you're going to leave a lot on the table. And so I've been using that word, myself, hybrid deals of like, well, it's a little bit of a wholesale, but it's also a little bit of a novation / fix and flip, but it's not, it's like combining these different strategies and tools. Maybe it has a little bit of creative, or, maybe you're going to get so-and-so to cover closing, or you're going to delay this, or you're going to raise private capital. There's just what I love about real estate. And I think that people who are new to this might not appreciate is just the creativity that you can have. Like when there's a lack of, I don't want to say lack of rules, because there definitely are rules, but when there's a lack of limitation on how you can put together and structure deals, your opportunity to create wins goes way up. I got a real estate license last year, and I went through the basic training of what most real estate agents experience. And there's amazing real estate agents out there. I'm not saying that, but the tools that they're equipped with, at least right out of the gate, aren't very significant. There's only like, here's a hammer, go find a nail. It's like, well, this is a screw and I don't have a screwdriver, or, there's so many problems that doesn't allow you to solve. So I love the education, then massive action, because there's nothing you can't, there's no situation you can walk into and be like, well, I can't fix that. It's like, I can fix whatever you got. Now, you might not like the answer.
Exactly. Yeah.
It might not work for both of us, but it is possible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's, Dave and I had a conversation just earlier today, and we were saying, like, when it comes to real estate investors, only about 1% of all real estate investors understand creative finance. Wow. And then even among that subset, people who know creative finance, only about 1% of those can do the really high level stuff. And that's when it gets fun.
Yeah.
Like we're looking at the double note strategy, where, we'll buy a property and we'll wrap the property. So we'll sell it on seller financing, and we will make 2 notes, right? Remember they were talking about that at Mastermind.
Yeah, I do.
So we will create the first note, sell it slightly discounted, and that pays off our underlying mortgage on the property. Obviously the numbers have to work out, but then that second note may only be $25,000. Maybe it's a little more than that, but you just put that thing in your pocket. It doesn't sell when you sell the first note. It's yours. So you're just going to keep on, receiving the small little paychecks every month, maybe a couple $100. Maybe it's $200, $300, $400 that comes in every month, but just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And now it's like, if you had a rental that cash flowed $200 or $300 a month,
right,
which is sort of industry standard, right? Somewhere between $200 and $500 a month for a rental.
Yep.
But we don't have to worry about
there's no property.
The tenants calling us with an issue.
Well, there is a property.
We're the bank.
You
don't own the property.
What is it called?
We're just a bank.
Paper lords? No, instead of landlords, what is it called? Note lords or something like that?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard that.
There was a phrase that one of those guys used, and I was like,
okay,
that's genius.
Yeah. So we're focusing on that strategy now.
Okay.
Nice. And what we've been wanting to get into, one of our primary goals in our business has always been cash flow. And unfortunately we didn't hit, I'll be completely honest, we didn't hit our goals.
Yeah.
We had quarterly goals, and here we are halfway into the year and we haven't acquired any. We wanted to have Airbnbs so we get passive income, and we don't have any.
Yep.
We're 6 months in, we don't have a single Airbnb. And looking back, that might be a good thing, because I'm hearing some things out there that like Airbnb is starting to get difficult. You're starting to see people not getting the bookings they were getting before. And it's understandable when you have gas that's $5, $6, $7 a gallon.
Yeah.
People just don't want to get in the car and drive.
Not taking a road trip. Yeah.
Right. So it's not happening to everyone, but I'm seeing people in different Facebook groups saying that, hey, I've had this Airbnb for 3 years and I was always 70% occupied and I don't have a single booking for the rest of the summer.
Wow.
Yeah. And maybe that's market specific. Maybe it's a trend that's going to go away.
Yeah.
But, you have a lot of people who are buying deals just to use for Airbnb, and they're not underwriting them properly.
Yep.
You can get yourself in some trouble.
Well, and that's why having multiple exits on every deal, don't sign up for something that you are pigeonholed into one solution. Because if that solution falls apart for some reason, or the market changes by the time you close, you're screwed. And that's what's making fix and flips more risky, I think, for everybody. We're experiencing this right now. So, we had a fix and flip that we started back in January, and it was a 90-day project that was pushed out 2 months for various project related problems. And then in that 2 months, the market shifted.
Yeah.
So guess what? We still have a house for sale. So, that really sucks.
It's scary. It's really scary.
Yeah.
It just happened to us as well. Part of the tough thing about stopping foreclosures is that sometimes they take a while.
Yes.
And deals get delayed. You stop it, you get it pushed back 30 days, and then you're trying to work things out. You're trying to pay off old liens, and for some reason, you can't get everything taken care of. And then all of a sudden a month goes by. Yep. And you still haven't acquired the property yet. Right. And now you expected, like we have one that we're in the process of selling. We're closing on it next week. It took us over a month to acquire it. Oh. Over a month longer than it should have to acquire it.
Right.
And when I put that house on the market, when I first hit send to okay, go live on the listing, it was like crickets. And I was like, oh no, we got one showing, and luckily that one person bought it.
Oh man, you only need one,
and paid over asking. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Wow. But we were worried about it. And now the one we're acquiring, we just closed on Friday, the one up in Huntsville, and that took us a month longer than it was supposed to take us. And that's almost a $500,000 house. Yeah. It's like when the market turns on you and rates go up 3 points and you're holding $500,000 house, you better have underwritten it properly.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing is not forgetting the costs. Underwriting is so key because, not only do you have capital gains tax, but then you have your, regular taxes that you're going to pay as a business when you do a fix and flip, or, you're holding a property short term, and that can be massive. Just not missing any of the things that are going to cost you, it can completely blow your profit margin or your safety margin or your project budget or whatever. And so just making sure you do some education before you jump in, with your savings.
And like you said, though, have multiple exits.
Absolutely.
If the market does turn on us with that house, we could hold it. We don't want to right now. We prefer to get the money in our bank account to, be safe. We want to have, a year plus of business expenses just sitting in the bank.
Nice.
And we feel like as long as we have that, we're okay. We're prepared for any market downturn that comes.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. It's a pretty solid buffer.
We're trying.
That's awesome. Well, I wanted to end on, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, obviously you got your at Jeremy Gonzalez 12 there. There's a period there. Don't miss that. But, you guys I think you started your own mentorship, right? How's that going? What's your focus there?
No, we didn't start a mentorship.
Oh, okay.
No.
No. Okay, I must have been thinking of something else. But if someone wanted to like reach out to you, because you are in the Atlanta, Birmingham, Orlando. Did I miss one?
Tampa.
Tampa. Okay, so
Yeah.
4 markets. If someone is in one of those markets, and so we've said this forever, and I think we've been told this forever. One of the best ways to get started in this business is go provide value to someone who's doing business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you want something done, go work with someone who's getting things done. Well, Jeremy, you're obviously getting things done. You and Medium Wave Dave, that's
Yep.
such a great nickname.
Yeah.
Are just rocking it in those 4 markets. And so if someone wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, you can either use Instagram, DM me, or you can send me a text message. My phone number is 205-75. Wait, tell me when you're ready.
Let me give you a banner here. I'll make it up for you. What's that number? Give me those
205
205
757
757
7597.
Oh, that is nice and repetitive. There we go. Let's see. There it is. All right. So there is your phone number for the world to see.
Absolutely.
But if someone wanted to add value to you, what could they bring? Could they bring you deals? Could they bring you leads? What's something that would bring value to your business?
So there's 2 things that could bring value to us right now.
Okay.
Two of the focuses in our business. Obviously, you can bring me deals to help you with, or you can become a door knocker for us.
Nice.
And one of the things we're seeing right now, within our mentorship, we have accountability groups, right? So within I happen to run the accountability group for my region, and one of the things we're starting to see on our accountability calls is people are having massive success with door knocking.
Really?
Yeah, massive success. Like the KPIs on it are mind blowing. And these are a lot of them are folks that have no real estate investing experience whatsoever.
Okay.
They are coming in, and a couple of them have some experience, but ones that don't have any experience, they're just going out and door knocking. And the reason why they're having such great success, and we've been calling auction lists with our VAs, and we're not getting anywhere with it. Yep. If you think about it, think about the mentality of someone whose house is going to auction. They're getting phone calls all day long from bill collectors, right? Yep. So anything that hits their phone, they ignore it.
Yep.
Someone knocks on their door and says, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I might be able to help you with the situation you're facing." All of a sudden, they're like, "Really? No one's come and told me that."
Yeah.
And they're having, it's almost like 1 out of every 5 houses that they're knocking, they're getting a real conversation. It's crazy how much success they're having.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So we are looking at building out a door knocking team.
Yeah.
It's a great way for someone who doesn't have any experience in real estate investing, or at least in creative finance.
Doesn't cost anything either.
It doesn't cost anything. It costs gas money, basically, to drive around and some of your time to go and knock on doors. And all they're doing is setting appointments for us.
Amazing.
And then we get on the phone with the sellers and we figure out what's going on and try and solve the problem.
All right.
Yeah.
I love that. So, man, gives me ideas. Is that something that's working more recently than, in the last 2 months, a lot better than before that? Yes. Or is it something?
Yeah. Because if you think about it nationally, the moratorium was there for 2 years plus?
Right.
There were no foreclosures.
Right.
So now banks are starting to catch up. What we're also seeing is that in our personal experience, banks and trustees, the trustees are the basically collection agencies, but they're lawyers usually. Yep. And they're the ones that are getting, like, once the bank says they're going to foreclose, they send it over to the trustee. They've lost patience because they've had to wait for 2+ years to get paid anything on these houses.
Sure.
I'm not in any way defending the banks, but if you think about it from their standpoint, they haven't gotten paid. They don't want to hear the stories the sellers are telling them. What we're seeing them do is drag their feet long enough that the sellers think the banks are helping them. But by the time they get around to giving them an answer, the deadline is passed.
Dang. That is...
It's 100% intentional.
That is sketchy. Wow.
Yeah. So, when we're talking to sellers and the sellers are like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, we have it handled," that might not be accurate. The bank might be telling you it's being handled, but why don't you have a backup plan just in case?
Absolutely.
If you notice that you're a week away from your 2 weeks away from your auction date and the
Yeah.
bank hasn't given you paperwork to sign,
Yeah.
you probably should find another option.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. Man, that's a great nugget. And we make reels out of these, and I want to make sure that is one of them. All right, team, make sure this is in there. That's fantastic. So door knocking, but again, what a great way to break into real estate investing is by providing value to someone who's already doing business. So if you're in the Tampa, Orlando, Birmingham, or Atlanta markets, and you want to get into
anywhere
or anywhere.
Yeah,
all right.
Honestly, you can be anywhere. We're actively marketing in those markets, but if someone wants to get in and they just want to start off and they don't know where to go,
Nice.
we can give you an auction list anywhere.
Love it.
As long as that's in a greater metro area, not out, in a rural area where there's, 3,000
like North
populations.
Idaho.
Who goes there? Who lives there?
It is a bit out here. I will minimize that. Yeah, it is for sure.
That's all right. It's a beautiful country.
It is awesome, man. Well, dude, I so appreciate your time, and I learn so much every time doing this. But I mean, is there to end this? Is there one thing? I mean, I think I'd pull it out if I had to tell you. But is there anything that you would pass on as like one nugget of, if you do one thing, do this if you want to be successful in real estate investing? If you have an idea, what would it be?
Yeah, I know exactly what it is. Again, something I tell newer investors all the time.
Yeah.
Find your one thing, right? Find whatever strategy it's going to be, because all the strategies work if you work that strategy. That's
so true. That's hard to hear as a new person, because you're like, oh, I wanted you to give me like a silver bullet. And it's like, there's no silver bullet.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts.
Right.
Work hard and get your teeth kicked in and get back up and keep going. Like that grit, man. It's just, there's no substitute for it.
Yep. Shiny object syndrome is a real thing.
Oh gosh, it will kill you. Death by shiny object syndrome it's a terrible way to go.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you being on here. And for everybody watching, if you got value out of this, hit the like, subscribe, do all those things just so you see our next one. Until then, we'll see you on the next episode of the Tiny Nate Show. Thanks for being here. See you guys.
Thanks, Tiny.
See ya.